This is Matt Brainerd with the weekly Look Ahead America update. We've got some great news. So every month we have an all hands meeting that's open to anybody that wants to come. Those are volunteers, donors, or anyone who's curious about what we're doing. We try to have a special guest for that meeting, and I'm excited to announce that we have an exceptional guest, Secretary of State candidate, representative from Arizona, Mark Finchem, will be joining us to talk to us about the importance of community organizing. So we're very grateful. Mark Finchem has been a good friend of Look Ahead America. He's spoken at our J6 rallies. He spoke at our protest outside the Attorney General's office, and we're really honored to have him. That all hands will take place on Thursday, August 18th at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. To get more information about that, please sign up for updates on our website. LookAheadAmerica.org. Just give us your email address and we'll keep you in the loop on all of that. A couple other things we've done in the past week is that we put out a response to Pineal County in Arizona. They had a really bad election day. It was very poorly managed. Places were running out of ballots. There was all kinds of confusion. And as a consequence of that, the elections director there had to resign or was fired, depending on whose story you're reading. But this is not a surprise to us because we actually highlighted to them a while back problems with their voter lists, citing people who don't belong on that list anymore, folks who have moved out of state or have other issues. They completely ignored us. Now, some counties, when we bring this issue up, they're helpful. Sometimes they're reluctant or they're resistant. But this county just completely ignored us. So we're not actually surprised that they had such a poorly managed election day. And this is a sign that the county and the people of that county need to step up and demand greater accountability for their elections department. We have a link to that report down below. We also made a statement on Colorado's recount discrepancies. There's been some issues as the state conducts a recount of the primary election that happened there recently. And what I think underlines all the problems is the state's dependent on black box proprietary election software and hardware from Dominion. We've long been advocates of transparent open source software solutions or even hand counts for elections that avoid all of these problems that have been coming up in the recount. So we put out a statement on that. We also have a link to our black box policy proposals to get rid of all of that stuff and replace it with open source voting equipment where the software and hardware and the schematics are all completely publicly available. You can find out what's inside those machines since you've paid millions of dollars for them anyway, which you think you're entitled to. These are machines that can be made in the United States. These are machines that can be serviced by companies that do not owe all of their debt to China or are themselves international corporations, and is a great way to not just add greater transparency and trust to our elections, but to increase the number of home state jobs in servicing these machines and to reduce the cost by about half of conducting election or having election equipment. Also, coming up this weekend is ICOT, Intermediate Community Organizer Training, over 20 hours in Phoenix. That's August 13th and 14th in Phoenix at an inexpensive hotel near the airport. This is an intensive opportunity for you to learn at no cost how to be an effective community organizer where you live. We've got another one coming up in later August, August 27th and 28th in Charlotte. Then we'll be in Philadelphia on September 10th and 11th, and then in Denver on September 17th and 18th. Learn all about that at lookaheadamerica.org/NTC. Also, we've got a beginner community organizer trainings webinar coming up just this week on August 17th at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Please schedule about 3 hours for that. This is an introduction to community organizing that I teach. It happens online, doesn't require you to travel, but can get you started down the path of being an effective community organizer and a part of Look Ahead America. So finally, I urge you to please help us with what we're doing. Sign up to volunteer or make a contribution at lookaheadamerica.org. We're a 501c3. All contributions are tax deductible, but we desperately need funding because we've got some very big projects ahead of us to prevent a lot of the problems that we saw in the 2020 election happening in 2022. And I look forward to talking to you about them as we roll those out in the coming weeks. So thank you for your support. You can always find us at lookaheadamerica.org. I'm Matt Brainerd, America First, America Forever.